I want to show you a simple, connected, and heart-forward way that you can 2x your creative one-person business revenue without burning out. It's using this simple mindset framework that is this framework that doubled my revenue while only working half the time. And if you're wondering, no, this is not some far-fetched strategy that you just copy me because I made $50,000 in a month, bro. It's not that type of thing. In reality, I just devoted myself to experimenting for 30 days and it doubled my revenue, and I'm just gonna share what I learned, and hopefully you can find a way to implement these experiments in a way that resonates with you. Take what I share and see how it fits into your life and see how it sits in your body, your nervous system, and your mind, okay? So we're gonna dive in because I'm excited because you're gonna learn how to identify and rewire the patterns keeping you stuck in your one-person business. Juicy. How your relationships are perfect mirrors to your relationship with business and why they actually might be the reason why your business isn't growing, and the single mindset shift that could make your revenue ceiling your new floor. If there's anything you could take away, it's this shift, but it's at the very end, so you gotta stay with me because I'm gonna share with you a story to get us starting around rewiring your narrative and uncovering your blockage. My biggest blockage in creative business, and let us not forget Austin Powers, baby, yeehaw. Now back to rewiring your narrative. So my biggest blockage was what I call unreconciled shame around marketing. Now I'll give you the backstory so you can understand how this applies to how you can identify your blockages and work with them. So I was just a little alternate barefoot hippie surf cowboy, you know. I wanted to be the opposite of everybody else. So instead of buying a surfboard, I made one. Lived in a van instead of renting a house. Hand drew my architectural plans instead of drafting them. You get the idea. Here's some photographs of that era of my life. What this led to is me over-identifying with being obscure. So I really rejected things like sales, copywriting, and marketing. Anything that had like strategy and had a clear sort of just a clear path of how this could work. Learn this skill and this is how it could work. I wanted to do everything my own way, which is my superpower, but also my curse. So why it was my curse was I was so focused on being different that I made myself so hard to relate to. I was hoping other people would relate to me and pay for my services, but they weren't well defined because I was being too obscure. You know, instead of saying, hey, I design custom furniture for your dining room, I was like, I design special home fabrications. It's like, what the heck is that, man? You know, people look at that and 50% of the people aren't gonna follow through because they're just like, oh, whatever. You know, it doesn't resonate in that moment that you have that time to get someone's impression. But the real reason why I was obscure was I carried a deep amount of shame around marketing. I felt that it just wasn't aligned for me. But in reality, it was because I was scared to be fully seen, offering a clear service to the world, and owning my desire. And don't even get me started about the fear of commitment. I feared committing to a path. So obscurity felt safe because it allowed me to blame my lack of results on everyone else. Does that sound familiar? So where am I going with this? Identify what you resist most strongly, because resistance always points the way to where your energy is stuck or your self-narrative is limited and needs a good hard reset. So resistance is there to help you discover where you aren't free. Now this is what you can do. Identify what you resist. Look into the patterns of, you know what, I really resist marketing. So I'm gonna look into what's there. So lean into it and inquire why. And then inside of that why, find what is the underlying fear? Oh, I feared being seen. I feared commitment. So, and how can I embrace just 10% more of what I resist today? So if I fear being seen and I fear commitment, what is one small commitment that I can make that maybe allows me to be more seen in the world today in business? Oh, making that post or making that flyer or having a conversation. And then what did I learn about myself through this? It's so simple. I understand that you might just gloss over it, but it's so transformative when you really breathe it and embody it and practice it. And this is the simplified process I facilitate for all my clients because honestly, it's really hard work to do alone, but it is possible. But you really need to have your own discernment and be radically honest with yourself, and you have to really keep yourself accountable for your shit, and we all got it. And because real change is awkward, right? Real change is uncomfortable. People think that change is gonna come when it's the perfect time and you're gonna float into it. bullshit. Change has all of your fears and everything you've been hiding from, all of your insecurities, and it's gonna feel really messy. So be supported, go see a somatic therapist, hire a coach if you're resourced, have really good support lines in your community, whatever that is. It's something that I offer for people who run creative businesses. So if you're interested, link in the description. But I want to go on to now how the wisdom of relationships is so critical for business. So this is just a real honest check-in. Look to your closest relationships in life. Are they expanding? Is the curiosity growing? Is change really being embraced? Or am I settling for comfortable and easy? Is my passion alive, or is it just alive enough? Am I avoiding change? I want to really iterate that none of these things, if you're just doing something for comfort, or if your passion is just at an equilibrium, or if you don't like change, that is okay. This is just a really healthy check-in to get you seeing where you're creating, I don't want to say stuckness, but you're not moving in life, which isn't bad, but if you want to be moving, it's something you need to update. So high tide raises all ships. Spelled that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. So it sounds cliche, but if you want to grow your business and feel stuck, look to where you can expand your relationships and invite curiosity. If you're feeling stuck in your relationship, maybe start there. Oh, I want to create more connection. Let's go have more fun experiences together, or whatever it might be. And if you want, let alone if you want to start a business but are scared to, look to where you're sacrificing change for more sameness, where you're not starting a new chapter in your relationships because you're just comfortable where you are. Now it can get really triggering, it can get really meta, but the way that you do one thing is the way you do everything. So the way you show up for yourself in a relationship is the way you're going to show up for yourself in business. So to really see how symbiotic these can all be, it actually gets some of the pressure off of us needing to fix what we think is wrong. Like, oh, this pen is the problem, I gotta fix it. Well, actually, maybe it's not the pen that's the problem, that because you're writing it, there's too much ink coming out. Maybe it's the way that you're holding it is too tight that is leading to those problems. Whatever it is, something over here, some idea, some part of your life could be affecting something over here, and vice versa. So there's really such a deep power. For me, I want to share more story. Diving headfirst into my closest relationships, the fears inside of them, and lifting that veil was literally the most profound practice I could have had for growing my business. I call it the old cosmic 2x4, like just getting slapped down on your ass. Me roller skating like 10 years ago. So the way that I started to show up in my relationship once I lifted this veil and saw my shit and saw, oh, this is stuck energy where I have not been looking at this shame, why I've been trading, growth for just comfort and safety and stability. Not bad things, but not what I'm here for. I'm here for growth and expansion at this season of my life. And if that's not you, that's okay. I still hope that you're getting something from this. So I started to show up in a way that felt more alive. I had more like emotional connection to myself, to the people that I loved, and I just had a greater sense of deep listening. And all of these things had such an immediate impact on the money that I made. Literally the time that I categorically can say, like, I cut that sort of veil and saw it, in 30 days, I doubled my revenue in my business, because once you start doing the work in one area, it's gonna trickle to all these other places. High tide raises all ships, baby. So this is a lot of text, I know. But instead of trying to start or grow your business, maybe take the pressure off and focus on starting a new chapter in your relationship. Growing the curiosity in the relationship and actually doing the deep work. And what's the deep work, you might ask? The stuff you're avoiding that we're gonna dive into. This is what I call emotional productivity, and it's the juice that 2x'd my one-person business. So what I fully believe is if you feel stuck in life, there's an emotion there too. An emotion stuck there too. For me, it was shame. And chances are, if you're a man growing up in this wild contemporary, you probably have an interesting relationship with shame. For some reason, that's just really present in the masculine template. So the reason why I was so stuck in my business and relationships was all because I was harboring shame that I was really afraid to look at. And so it kept me from going to a certain depth in myself because I couldn't go deeper without looking at that shame. So the depth that I experienced in my life, i.e. the depth of connection in my relationships, the amount of money that I could make, all of those things were also limited. If you limit your sadness, you limit your joy. If you limit your ability to look at shame, you're going to limit the amount of money that you make. It's esoteric, but so fundamental at the same time. Because also that shit is scary to look at. It brings up all of our deepest fears, and we tend to avoid those things like the plague. But then that repeats the vicious cycle, because the second we open the door, we get scared, so we close it again. But at some point, you're going to be forced to say, enough, this isn't working. And when you're at that point, here's exactly what you do. And don't worry, if you're not at that point but just want to be ahead of the curve and be preemptive about leveling up in life, you can do this too. So this is the process. What emotion am I actively avoiding right now? Oh, I'm avoiding shame. What is the story protecting that emotion? That I'm not good enough. So if I don't try, if I don't really put myself out there, I feel like I can preserve my ego and my self-concept. Oh, whoa. So what does the emotion actually crave? Well, shame wants to just actually be seen and felt and acknowledged. Oh, whoa. So how can I allow myself to truly feel this emotion and listen to it? I can really just be in my story of what's it like to hold this shame and to feel not good enough just for a moment, knowing that who I am is inherently good enough. What is it like? What am I trying to learn? And how can I live my life from a place where I embrace the harder to feel emotions just 10% more? The maybe sadness for wasting time, the anger for not being where you want to be, the whatever it is. What if for a moment I just allowed myself to embrace that? Not putting those emotions at other people, but just allowing myself to feel, whoa, right now this is coming up. I'm feeling shame when I'm trying to market myself right now, and I really want to listen where this is coming from. Because that's going to help you tune in to yourself, help you create more connection and alignment with yourself, which is absolutely going to create more connection and alignment with everything outside of you, your work, home, life, all your relationships, everything. And so what becomes available to you on the other side of that is potential, is possibility. Because the highest version of myself, of yourself, is the version that embraces life openly. It doesn't mean that there's not things that you don't like. It just means that, hey, this is a sticky feeling right now, but I can be okay with that and I can feel that. Because I know that there's wisdom to be had in my shame, in anger, and in joy, and all the beautiful things. There's wisdom to be had because every emotion has a story that's pointing back to somewhere inside of you that wants to be seen, loved, held, healed, whatever you want to call it. And I know like that's in the direction of like personal development and self-help and all that. But truly, like the way that we show up for service and business in the world is a direct reflection for the way that we're showing up for ourselves. And if you want to have a greater impact and make more money, you absolutely have to show up for yourself more deeply, more radically, more vulnerably and honestly. And that will 10 times out of 10, I've never seen it without fail, will grow your business, will grow your connections, deepen your relationships. It might not be tomorrow. You know, for me, it was a long time coming, but when I really started doing the work, 30 days doubled my revenue. But it takes that level of commitment because you can't be half in. You can't be 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. So the experiments are just like, do these practices every time something pops up for the next 30 days. So you have, I think, 3 practices in here from each chapter that you can reference. Try that for 30 days. Listen to your emotions for 30 days and see what happens. Create deeper connection with the stories that are trying to protect those parts of you and see how you can rewire them. Just do that for 30 days and see what happens. You know, you might just be absolutely shocked. So I call this work emotional productivity because I swear by the way that it can liberate the way that every area of our life is run. And I like to say there's no fear of things, there's only fears of feeling. So when we don't have a fear of feeling, we're so much more open. So it's like when I opened myself to life, I doubled my revenue in 1 month, quantum leaped my relationships, and I felt more creative than ever. And it's really the same work that I see that precedes the breakthroughs of just about every successful creative I know. I swear by this so much. I'm going to be designing and building a upcoming flagship program. But for now, it's something I only do one-to-one. So if you're done being stuck in businesses, relationships, and just start feeling connected to the life that you know is possible, and you're finally ready to just transform the way that you show up for yourself in business, let's work together. Book a call below. I'd love just to hear your story. I have nothing to sell you if you're not the right fit, but I do think that we can transform your life together, because I've done it myself. I've gone into those really, really hard places, and I've seen the indirect impact that it's had on life. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to hear from you. If not, it's been amazing to just give you this information, and I hope that you've really learned something today. I'm stoked. So yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. Yeehaw. I'll see you in the next one.